I'm perched halfway up a 200-foot vertical wall at Smith Rock in Oregon. I've just started the next section of my rock climbing route. I feel the warmth of the sun on the back of my neck, the light breeze billowing through my long-sleeve shirt. I reach for the next hold, and then suddenly, I'm falling. The next 0.9 seconds feel like minutes. My thoughts race. Oh no, I've slipped. I'm roped in. I'm okay. Wait, why am I still falling? What is happening? And then I hit the ledge, and my mind freezes. I'm motionless, laying across the massive rock that broke my fall. Thankfully, I'm wearing a gear bag full of ropes and jackets that saved me from a broken back. But what I didn't realize in that moment is that I'd broken something even more vital: my brain. Overnight, my life changed. I went from being active and healthy and working a demanding job to suddenly not being able to work. I could barely get out of bed, and I couldn't sleep more than 2 hours straight. Imagine waking up tomorrow and you can't remember your best friend's name or what you had for breakfast 10 minutes ago. And your brain is literally incapable of feeling optimistic. Like there's this constant lead weight just bearing down on you. I had no idea how much one organ, my brain, could affect everything: my perception of myself, my life, and the world around me. Turns out, I wasn't alone. 1 in 3 American adults is affected by neurological or mental health conditions, from brain fog and depression to cognitive decline. And brain-related issues are the leading cause of disability and illness worldwide. As days turned to weeks and weeks turned to many months, I wasn't getting better. I still couldn't walk my dogs around the block without resting multiple times, and I was anxious and irritable constantly. I was terrified that this was my new reality, that I'd lost who I am. Desperate for answers, I saw many different specialists and had every possible test done. My MRI came back clear, I passed my neurological exams, and my vestibular tests were fine. But clearly, I wasn't fine. And it wasn't all just in my head. Well, technically it was, but not in the way that the tests were implying. I was relieved that I didn't have a brain bleed, or worse, but I wanted to know what I could do to get my life back. The doctors offered me 2 paths forward. Wait and see if I get better on my own, which I'd been doing and clearly wasn't working, or take medications for individual symptoms that I was experiencing. Trazodone for sleep, methylphenidate for focus, Zoloft for anxiety. The last thing I wanted to do was band-aid the problem and add side effects to my long list of symptoms. I wanted to treat the root issue, which was my unhealthy brain. Doctors offered me pills or time, but science offered me a third path. It showed me that the root cause was a fire in my brain: neuroinflammation, and it gave me 3 levers to put it out. Today, I'm going to share them with you. What if I told you that brain fog, depression, sleep issues, memory problems, even the risk of Alzheimer's are all driven by this one common factor? Inflammation is a normal part of how your immune system functions. For example, if you get a cut on your finger, it gets red and swollen as it heals, and then a few days later, it's back to normal. Simple. But inflammation isn't always this straightforward. Sometimes the triggers are invisible, like stress or trauma. Your brain's immune system can respond to emotional strain just like it does to a physical injury. But unlike a cut on your finger, once it's activated, it often struggles to switch off. And that's a problem. Think of your brain like a castle. Inside, life is humming along. Its citizens, your brain cells, are hard at work. Bakers are baking, farmers are selling vegetables, everything's in balance. Your brain's immune cells act as the castle's watchmen. Their job isn't to just spot invaders, it's to sense any sign of trouble. A spark in the courtyard, a collapsed wall, even a shouting match between townsfolk. One day, the alarm bells clang. Maybe the signal came from infection, or maybe from stress or lack of sleep. The watchmen don't pause to check the source. They rush to defend the castle. Gates are closed, torches are lit, and reinforcements flood in. Short term, this reaction saves the castle from immediate harm. But if the alarm bells keep clanging, day after day, the defenders overrun the castle. They create chaos, they barricade roads, and they paralyze daily life. That's what chronic neuroinflammation looks like. An alarm that won't turn off, and a fire that's burning down the castle from the inside. It's a destructive cycle. To break that cycle, you don't just need to stop the fight, you need to rebuild. And science provides the blueprint. Finding that blueprint became my mission. My biomedical engineering background kicked in, and I turned my recovery into my own research project. As I sifted through hundreds of studies and tried evidence-based approaches on myself, a clear pattern emerged. The interventions that actually worked all did three things at once. These became the three levers for rebuilding my brain. Cool the fire, widen the highways, resource the rebuild. First, you have to cool the fire. We all know that eating processed foods, getting poor sleep, and sitting on the couch all day are bad for us. They cause low energy, weight gain, focus issues, but they also share a deeper, dangerous consequence. They are sources of inflammatory fuel. They are the dry underbrush in the castle courtyard. You can't fireproof your life, but you can clear the brush. But doing that is only the groundwork. It stops the fire from spreading. To truly cool the fire, you need to stop the sparks. And the biggest source of sparks is a brain stuck in stress. I'm not just talking about big life-altering traumas. I'm talking about the day-to-day sparks. The frustration of being stuck in traffic or a conflict with a coworker. These might seem minor, but a landmark study called MIDAS followed thousands of people and found that these daily sparks are far from harmless. The key finding? The more intense daily stress a person experienced, the higher the levels of inflammatory markers in their blood. Markers linked to a 60% higher risk of life-threatening heart attack or stroke. The secret then isn't to avoid all stress. That's impossible. It's to learn how to manage it. And science has uncovered a whole toolbox to help us do that. From ancient practices like Tai Chi and breath work to modern approaches of cryotherapy and neurofeedback. Even a simple walk in nature is scientifically proven to lower stress and cool the inflammatory fire. Second, you have to widen the highways. Now that the fire is under control, the castle builders need supplies. Every great fortress, ancient or modern, is only as strong as its supply lines. And every cell in your body needs a supply of oxygen and nutrients. Your brain cells need 10 times more than any other. These resources are delivered through your blood vessels. Over 400 miles of them in your brain. Blood vessels are the highways for food and oxygen. When I was recovering, doctors told me to sit in a dark room. Turns out that was starving my brain. Stress and inflammation cause blood vessels in the brain to constrict. These 8-lane superhighways become 1-lane traffic jams, limiting the delivery of vital resources. A study that followed nearly 5,000 healthy adults over years found that individuals who had lower blood flow to the brain were not only more likely to experience accelerated cognitive decline, but they had a 31% increased risk of developing dementia. The good news is that you can improve blood flow to your brain. Specific types of exercise, like interval training, are incredibly effective at forcing those highways back open. And new technologies can supercharge that. And third, you need to resource the rebuild. Finally, even with the fire out and the highways open, the castle doesn't rebuild itself. It needs leadership and a plan. This is where you recruit the project managers for the reconstruction. This work is directed by two key signaling molecules: brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, and human growth hormone. They're the intelligence that turns a pile of supplies into a thriving castle. They give the orders to hire new workers, they draw the blueprints for new castle structures, and they manage ongoing repairs. Or as scientists say, neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and neuroprotection. So how do we get more of these project managers on site? Well, we all know that exercise is good for the brain, and intense exercise is extra good, but that's not the only way. Research shows that cognitively engaging movement, like martial arts or dancing, significantly boost BDNF because they combine physical and mental exertion. Another surprisingly effective approach is blood flow restriction. It's a powerful way of getting the brain rebuilding benefits of intense exercise just by walking. By gently reducing blood flow to the limbs during movement, it tricks the brain into releasing a surge of these key project managers, BDNF and growth hormone. It's an incredibly efficient way to resource the rebuild. Cooling the fire, widening the highways, resourcing the rebuild. These aren't just techniques, they're a framework. They're the answer to the question that haunted me in the long months after I hit that rock. What can I do to get my life back? That fall didn't just break my brain, it gave me the blueprint to rebuild it. And today, I'm grateful to say that my brain is healthier and more resilient than it's ever been. This journey didn't just teach me how to heal myself, it showed me what's possible for all of us. I see a future where this knowledge is the standard of care, where a brain health checkup is as normal as an annual physical, where we track neuroinflammatory markers in our blood work as routinely as we track cholesterol. But you don't have to wait for that day. Your brain is your castle. So the next time your brain feels heavy or foggy or far away, know that you are not powerless. You have the blueprint. Ask yourself these 3 questions. How do I cool the fire? How do I widen the highways? How do I resource the rebuild? The doctors told me it was all in my head. And they were right. It is all in your head. And you have the power to change it.